62 years ago this month, on May 4th, 1963, what is now known as the Spelman Museum of Stamps and Postal History was formally dedicated and opened as the Cardinal Spelman Philatelic Museum. We have come a long way since then and are pleased to be a fixture in the town of Weston at our Regis College home. Welcome to the Spelman Spotlight for May 2025. It gives me great pleasure to announce that a new curator has joined our ranks. Ken Flowers, creator of Ken's Stamp Collection on YouTube and a regular museum volunteer, stepped into the role in April. He follows Nancy Meyer, who is retired from the museum but plans to remain involved. Ken was our Spotlight guest last December. Welcome aboard, Ken. April 19th marked the start of our National 250th Anniversary celebrations with notable events at the sites where the Revolution began in nearby Lexington and Concord. In keeping with this theme, the Spelman is launching its own 250th celebratory programming with two key events this month. On Saturday, May 17th, we are rolling out our American Revolution Scavenger Hunt at the Celebrate Weston event in the town center. We have identified 16 stamps issued by the Post Office Department and the U.S. Postal Service which highlight people, places, and events around Greater Boston. Participants will receive a spreadsheet of target locations to visit in Boston, Quincy, Charlestown, Cambridge, and, of course, Lexington and Concord. To complete the hunt, a selfie needs to be taken at each location and submitted to the museum. Prizes will be awarded to every person or group that completes the challenge. This scavenger hunt runs through August 15th. All participants must register prior to the 4th of July to be eligible. On Saturday, May 24th, actress Cheryl Faye returns to the Spelman as our nation's second First Lady, Abigail Adams. Cheryl has appeared previously to tell the life stories of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Queen Elizabeth II. Her one-woman show is sponsored by a grant from the Weston Cultural Council. Spelman representatives are also in talks with local artist Dale Stefanos, who was selected to create the Betty White stamp issued by the USPS earlier this year. Betty White's legendary entertainment career spanned over 7 decades, from her first appearance on television in 1939 through sitcoms and game shows from the 1950s through 2019. Her extensive list of credits included hosting Saturday Night Live at the age of 88 in 2010 and a recurring role on the comedy drama Boston Legal.
I am Heidi Price. May's artifact is the postal uniform. The attire of the United States Postal Service has evolved over the more than 150 years of its existence. As with all fashion, letter carriers' attire reflected the era, the needs in use, and of course, trends. Now, we know mail delivery in large U.S. cities began in 1863, but no official uniforms were worn until 1868, when Congress passed legislation authorizing use of uniforms by letter carriers. The very first uniform was described very specifically, a single-breasted sack coat of cadet gray, or technically blue mixed cadet cloth. These first uniforms mirrored men's business dress fashion of the day. With no access to mass production or standard sizing, early uniforms were made by local tailors guided by instructions provided by the Postmaster General. In 1873, realizing the uniform didn't suit the warm weather, regulations permitted lighter material for summer uniforms and called for the letters POD for Post Office Department to be placed beneath the likeness of the postwriter on the uniform buttons. Rainwear was also introduced, an overcoat, similar in cut to the winter coat. Other trends and touches continued. Years later, in 1953, the Eisenhower-style jacket was introduced, taking its name from U.S. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, who famously wore this type of jacket during World War II. In 1956, changes continued, with maroon trim introduced along with a new emblem patch. In December 1955, Postmaster General Arthur E. Summerfield announced all new uniform specifications for letter carriers. The 1957 Personnel Handbook described the updated cap, braid, and uniform trim, including service stars, changing from black to maroon. For the first time, a patch with the departmental emblem appeared on the uniform left sleeves, a maroon patch with a dispatch horse and rider centered in a circle. Into the 1990s, uniforms further progressed with an extensive redesign. Outerwear garments were redesigned and changed to navy blue. And in July of 1991, a visor and baseball cap, the first apparel items with the newly designed eagle and bar U.S. mail emblem, were introduced. And here in 2025, uniforms continue to be important to mail delivery. Uniforms serve important purposes: to provide quick and easy identification to the public, to project a professional image, and to enhance safety. And over the years, it's clear that the evolution of the postal uniform reflected culture and era, as did postage stamps themselves. Stop by the Spelman to see our uniforms and USPS accessories.
All right, and we are starting the interview segment for the month of May with another remote. And I am pleased to introduce the Executive Director of the American Topical Association, Jennifer Miller, who is joining us, I believe, from South Carolina. Jennifer?
Yes, I am. Yes. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, certainly glad to have you on the spotlight with us. We had, you may have seen Yamil Khoury, the president of Boston
Yes.
2026, and our board president, did our first remote a few months ago. So I'm pleased to be able to do this and bring some other people from the philatelic community into the spotlight via Zoom. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Great. All right. So Jennifer, before we get into the American Topical Association info, I'm just curious, could you share a little bit of background about yourself?
I grew up in Illinois, and both my grandparents were farmers, and went to college in Arkansas, and that's where I met my husband, Martin, who happens to be the editor for the American Topical Association. Yes. And we have 3 children, and I have 1 grandchild, and we live in South Carolina, Greer, South Carolina.
And real quick, how long have you been the director of the ATA?
I started in August of 2019.
So this program is geared not only for the philatelic community, but also for people who are just getting to know the Spelman Museum as well. I think topicals probably are something that are, just it's second nature to understand what they are for a collector. But could you give a general background to what topicals are for the people that might be tuning in for the first time?
Most people, when they think of stamp collecting, they think of collecting by country. So, most people in the United States would collect US stamps, or perhaps if there are families from Germany, they might collect German stamps or something like that. Topicals are collected based on the image that's on the stamp.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you are a sheep collector, like I am, if the stamp has a sheep on it, you would add it to your collection.
As a percentage of collectors, is this something which is fairly common, topical collecting, or would this be more of a niche activity?
I think there's actually a lot. It's a very common thing to be a topical collector. Some people do both country and topics, but and there are a lot of people who might do a country as their serious collection, but indulge in the fun topicals on the side. I like to say we're the fun side of philately. So
Yeah.
One of the fun things about topicals is you collect the whole world without collecting the whole world.
Yeah.
So you get a taste, you get a flavor from all the different countries without having to collect the entire world. So that's a fun little piece about it too.
And the American Topical Association promotes that, obviously. Could you give a little background about the ATA, how long it's been around, and what your role as the director is in the organization?
ATA started in 1949. So last year we celebrated our 75th anniversary. It was started by Jerry Huzak, a teenager at the time. And he got the idea to start it, and it's been rolling ever since. One of our main things is our journal, our Topical Time magazine. It's about different topics all the time. So even if it's not about your specific topic, you can learn how other people collect, and it might give you ideas on how to expand your collection or how to store your collection and that type of thing.
Well, how frequently does the Topical Time come out?
It comes 6 times a year.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's every 2 months. Yep.
All right.
And
Okay. And I'm guessing you are quite involved in its production.
I have an ongoing thing. The president has a regular column as well, but
Mhm.
most of the articles are submitted by members, and it's very interesting to see all the different things that the different topics that are written about. It's
Sure.
such a wide variety.
Oh yeah. All right. And as the director, in addition to Topical Time, what are your other activities? This is a full-time position for you.
Yes, yes, it is. I am the office.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anything dealing with membership and all of the behind the scenes things I'm doing, also planning for the big events, the Great American Stamp Show, are when we go to Boston.
So you said you've been collecting all of your, or started collecting when you were young.
I had a worldwide album, but of course back then, there was no internet, there was, and
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
gave up because I thought I'll never collect all of these things. And so I put my collection aside. I always was interested in stamps and would, buy stamps as they came out and things like that, but never did a collection. But then my husband was a stamp collector from childhood as well, but he continued to collect.
All right.
So I would go to shows with him,
Mhm.
and that's how I got back into collecting.
Your path to the ATA directorship, did they come through these visits to stamp shows?
They did. I got to know several of the people from ATA, and so when Vera decided to retire, they put out the announcement that they were looking for an executive director. And I thought, well, that sounds like great fun. So I applied, and and here I am.
And here you
So-
are. All right. Of course, we've got the World Stamp Expo coming up right here in Boston in 2026, and ATA is going to have a fairly prominent role there. Do you have some plans, some aspirations that you're able to share right now about Boston 2026?
Working on some ideas. We're working on a new book that we'll have out by then. Things are in progress, shall we say.
Yep, same here. Well, we're certainly looking forward to having you up here in Boston next year. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, when we were talking about the ATA and what it does earlier, I forgot to mention one of the other big benefits that we have for our members is our checklists. ATA has a database with over we're almost to 1,700 different topical checklists now. And so
Okay.
that's very helpful for topical collectors. When you decide, I want to collect sheep, how do you know what stamps are out there? And we've done that work for you. So created lists for all of the stamps in a particular topic. And like I said, we've got about 1,700 topics now.
That's great. That's great. Well, it's so good to see, to meet you here online and to hear about all the good work that's being done at the ATA. And I certainly hope that we'll get the chance to meet up in Boston next year. And
Yes.
congratulations on your accomplishments over your time as the director, and my best wishes to you for a great rest of the year.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I certainly hope to visit the museum when we're in Boston. So, and I look forward to seeing you then.
Fantastic. Sounds good. All right. Thanks again, Jennifer.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Take care.
Uh-huh.